Here's your. Uh, I'm really excited to introduce Ben Gause with us today. He's a fabulous mortgage broker. Been working for years in town and in Denver and back, and he's with Chicago Title now. And I'll let him give a little introduction, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on the show here, Les. Yeah, Ben Gause. I'm with Chicago Title. I've been in the title business for probably about 12 years now. I started 2013. It was my first job out of school. I
Wow,
went to school up at Colorado State University and
go Rams!
go Rams. Didn't really know what I was going to do with my life and fell into a title insurance job. And here we are 12 years later and probably many, many, many more years to go.
Well, I think you've picked a good career for yourself, and you're doing well in it. So let's get started. Here we go. All right. So, can you explain what title insurance is and why it matters to both buyers and sellers?
Yes. Um, yeah, so title insurance, it's on every single real estate transaction that you could think of, right? All the way from, the largest tower buildings in the country to just your traditional single family home, condo, whatever it is. Title insurance protects your ownership interest in the property. So essentially, we're saying, all right, Les, you're going to get a $500,000, right, from the bank and go buy this beautiful home. But who proves that you own it, you know?
Mm.
Well, that's what title insurance is going to do. So we're for a nominal fee, we're going to research the chain of title um, back to a certain point, and we're going to say, hey, Les, you're going to buy this house. We're going to give you insurance that says that you actually own it.
Well, that's comforting and important with a big purchase like that, the biggest we'll ever make, probably.
Absolutely.
Cool. And how does that protect sellers as well?
Yeah, so it really there's two people it protects. You got the buyer and the seller. So the buyer, obviously, I just mentioned it, they're going to move into this house and they want some affirmation that they do own the property. Well, on the sales side as well, this is going to allow the person to kind of walk away from the home and they don't have to like deal with the buyer coming back to them later and having some sort of issue with the chain of title. It's on the title company. So for your sellers, they can sell their home and know that the title company did their job and research that there were no like outstanding mortgage liens or judgments or anything like that.
Cool. Well, that's comforting to everybody then. So, what's the most common misconception people have about title companies, do you think?
Most common, hold on one second here, Les. I'm gonna shut that door there.
Okay.
Um, Most common misconception is probably that we don't pay out claims.
Mm.
And I say that we don't pay out a ton of claims, and I don't know what the exact percentage on it is, but it's not very high, but it's a very different type of insurance than property and casualty, right? So if
Yeah,
you like on your car insurance, you're buying it for something that might happen in the future, but the insurance company doesn't know outside of looking at your credit and your driving history. They don't really know, are you going to get in an accident or not? Or are you going to get hit by hail or not? Title insurance is going backwards. So
right.
we're going through everything and we're trying to uncover problems before we give you insurance. And so we do pay out claims, but we also we uncover what could be a claim prior to closing so that we don't have claims. That's really where a lot of our work comes in.
Right. And before you did mention nominal fee, and I've always been amazed at how little you guys actually charge. It's pretty, I think you offer really good value.
It's fascinating. Our closing fee here in El Paso County today, 340 bucks for us to facilitate an entire closing. I mean, that's crazy. Now, we also charge for title insurance. That's just on the escrow closing fee. But our title insurance is, probably less than $2,500 on most every single transaction, and it's dependent on the sales price of the home.
Sure.
But for a ownership policy for the life that you own the home, 2,500 bucks, basically, again, depending on the price of the home, but it's very nominal in comparison to the cost of your home.
Definitely. Can you explain the difference between owners and lenders title policies?
Yeah, so as the kind of names state, you got the owner's policy protecting the owner, and then the lender's policy is going to protect the lender. So, lest you go out to XYZ Bank and get a loan for, again, $500,000, the bank wants some protection in the form of lender's title insurance that they are really what they're going for is they want their loan in first lien position, meaning when the home sells that lender is the first one that gets paid back. And then there may be subsequent liens against the property, but whatever's left over is yours. But the lender gets their money first.
Cool. Well, they've got a lot in it. Um, what title issues come up most often in Colorado Springs transactions?
It's a great question. I mean, I don't know that we have any one particular thing that we work through. I will say that there are parts of town that have some really unique, they're called exceptions.
Yeah.
And this dates back to like the Prohibition time
Mm,
frame. But there may be like a house that you buy in Stetson Hills or whatever, and it might say that you can't consume alcohol on your property, or you can't produce it. And it's
mm,
just stuff that was recorded in like, the Prohibition days. So you see some of that. I would say of the more complex stuff is as you go east and you go west is like water type
ah,
issues or mineral type issues. And some of that gets so complex, especially water here in Colorado, that you have to work with a specialized attorney. But that's really where our transactions get a little bit more complex.
all right. What's a memorable, messy title situation you've had to solve?
I would just say anything that is at all related to fraudsters. Uh,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's probably the biggest scary thing. It's the biggest, trouble that someone could get into. And yeah, it can get really messy. So I would just say for anybody that might watch this, if you are typically it happens on the buy side, but it could happen either way. If you're going through a real estate transaction, just have your antennas up and be on alert for people trying to get into your personal information, whether
Mm,
that just be your social security, your birthday, or they're trying to get your wiring instructions. They're trying to get you to send them some sort of money. I mean,
right.
that's the
Yeah.
biggest messy, complex thing that can happen in our business for the most part.
Yeah. I've heard of people trying to say, I know you were going to wire your money here, now wire it here. And if you don't call and check, you could lose everything.
Yes, yeah. Sadly, it happens too. And you think of it, right? If you're buying a house, you're a little nervous. It's something you don't
Yeah.
do all the time. And someone says, hey, your closing's going to be delayed if you don't send your wire to this new account immediately. A lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but people fall for it. And
Yeah.
because you're vulnerable, you want the house. There's a reason that you're buying it. It's something that means something to you. And when someone tells you that you're going to be delayed because you need to send a wire, some people just do it.
Yeah. Boy, and they regret that forever.
Yeah.
Um, how does your team keep closings running so smoothly?
Uh,
I
they
know you've
work
got a really good team.
They work their ass off. That's about the only thing I could say. Yeah. They're
That's
really
good.
well organized. We have systems that help them, but you could have the worst systems that they just work really, really hard. They work hard to keep the transactions smooth, and sometimes that includes late nights and early mornings, and they just work hard.
Cool. How do you handle the logistics of mail away or remote closings?
Yeah, so the second part there that you mentioned, the remote closings is becoming more and more of a thing. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, you could either do a mail away, which, like you said, is we're going to physically send all the paper documents to your seller, your person, and then they're going to have either a notary meet them where it's convenient, or they're going to go, bring these documents to a notary and sign them. Well, kind of new, really, since COVID is called a RON closing, remote online notary.
Hmm.
So that's different than a mail away. And this has given us the ability to do a closing via like computer or cell phone. Um, so we don't have a ton of transactions that go that way. I wish I had kind of a number on it, but I would say maybe 5%. But that number is just continually going to grow.
Yeah. You kind of already touched on this, but how do you protect clients from wire fraud during closing?
Yeah, first of all, we have like an initial disclosure that goes out immediately that says we do not change banking instructions. So that's
That's good.
really, if you're going to deal with any title company, I don't care if it's Chicago Title or some other title company, there is an extremely high likelihood they're not going to be changing their wiring instructions. And so if you do get that email that says, we changed our wiring instructions, you need to send it to this different account, just know right off the bat that's probably a fraud attempt.
Yeah.
And if it's not, pick up the phone and call like five different people to verify that they did
Right.
change the wiring instructions. But second of all, after that initial disclosure, we also use a secure portal. It's called Live in Here. Our company developed it, and it's a secure platform that you can communicate in, and it takes away the email. So it's more secure than communicating via email.
Excellent. And what systems do you use to keep realtors and clients updated throughout a transaction?
We actually use the same exact system that I just mentioned,
Okay.
called Live in Here. And so, yeah, it has prominent milestones through the transaction when earnest money is delivered or when a title commitment is issued, things of that nature.
It's all on that secure portal.
It's all in that secure portal. Yeah,
That's
called Live
good.
in Here.
Nice. And what happens if something unexpected surfaces right before closing?
Yeah, it
As it
happened.
will.
Yeah, it happens. It definitely happens. We've had people right before closing. I'm trying to think the most recent one. We had someone, maybe they didn't pull a permit on their furnace or their water heater or something.
Oh,
And yeah, just we do what's called a date down. So we open up our initial title search on a property, and then, right before we close, we start to do what's called the date down. And so we're dating backwards and making sure that nothing else has popped up, that the person selling their home didn't just go open a HELOC, or
oh
they
yeah.
didn't go and get a water heater and not pull a permit and get a lien against their property. So we're checking for all that kind of stuff. And so when it happens, man, it's crisis time. We gotta figure out how to clear it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it will delay closing.
Right. Which is no fun for anybody because
No
people have
fun for anybody.
their moving
No.
vans lined up already,
Yeah,
ready to go
right.
both in and out.
But
So as
and
we
that
wrap,
all that all goes back to the beginning when when you ask what's the most common misconception is title insurance companies don't pay out claims. Well, we do that date down right before, so we're going to catch stuff that could cause a
mm,
claim, and it may delay closing. But at the end of the day, our job is to make sure that the buyer has a home that has marketable title, and they're not going to move into a property that has, you know, someone else's lien on it or something like that.
that'd be bad news. So as we wrap up here, Ben, what's your best tip for buyers or sellers heading into a closing?
Uh, Make sure you have an ID that is not expired.
Good.
Um, a photo ID. That would be
Oh
a good
shoot.
starter. And the other thing that I think we've drifted away from a little bit is make a big deal of it. Whether you're buying or
Mm,
selling a house, I think a lot of times people try and jam it in at the beginning or the end of the day or whatever, and it's really
oh,
tight on their work schedule. And it's stressful because stuff does happen. We have to Closing gets delayed or closing takes longer than people thought, and they have to get back to work. And so if I could say anything is like just make a big deal out of it. If you're supposed to close on the call it the today's the 6th of October, we'll just take the day off if you're able to, or
there you
or
go.
plan to close on a day that you can get the day off so you can make a big deal out of it because it is a big deal.
Very big deal. And then take time to go celebrate
And then you
after you
got a
get
little
through
time to
kids.
celebrate.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, Ben, this has been so great. Thanks so much for your expertise and experience and knowledge sharing with all of us. I know it's been good for me and it's been good for a lot of our watchers too.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on here. And go Broncos, right?
Go Broncos, right? Okay.